Well, I just learned Highguard is shutting down on the 12th of March, just a little bit more than a month after release, and I can't say I'm surprised. There's gonna be some weirdos talking about wokery or whatever, but I don't think that's the issue. Say what you will about how generic the characters were, they weren't ugly. That one girl with the huge ass could get it.
Okay. Damn, woman!
Unfortunately, the problem is that it's just another free-to-play, microtransaction-based forever game. By which I mean a game that people are expected to play and pay for forever. You see, the problem is that at any point in time, only a small handful of games that require perpetual retention will succeed. This is why most of the FGC is focused on some iteration of Street Fighter, why Dead or Alive died when they shifted from catering to casual consumers to courting esports, why most of the 7th generation's multiplayer shooter space was dominated by Gears and Halo, and why Overwatch's biggest competition only came about because Blizzard fell off and NetEase came in with Jordan levels of hunger to win. Contrast that with games that don't require that sort of commitment. You know, single-player games, party games, more traditional multiplayer fare. Games that you can just come and go as you please. Consider this channel as an example. In 2 months, I've beaten Phantasy Star 3 and 4, System Shock 2, Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles, and Ys 3 Wanderers from Ys. And I've gotten pretty far in both Ys the Oath in Felghana and the Unreal Tournament single-player campaign. Now, how many live service games do people play in a 2-month period? 1? 2? The same ones they've been playing for 6 months? Maybe for a year? You see, the space with live service requires essentially that you marry a game. And if you're gonna ask that of somebody, you'd better be prepared to bring something really awesome to the table. Otherwise, it's just not gonna happen. Now, I get why companies keep trying. The lure of an unlimited flow of money for relatively little effort is a siren song that very few can resist. And for some empty suit that doesn't understand what gamers want or really doesn't really care what gamers want, it can be especially seductive. However, there's only so much time and there's only so much money to go around. So, in reality, only a few people are going to have that success. It sucks for the empty suits and for the poor developers who have to slave away at this garbage, but it's what it is. Capitalism, everybody. This is the same market, mind you, where games like Hollow Knight Silksong, or Power Wash Simulator, or Undertale, or any number of smaller projects have set the world on fire. And even Cyberpunk 2077 was given a chance to rise like a phoenix after the rough start it had. You see, the reason is twofold. Now, first off, let's be honest. It's a lot easier to have a fling than a wife. You know? Let's say, you have Marvel Rivals. Okay, you're enjoying Marvel Rivals, but you want to do something else every once in a while. You play a little Undertale, a little Shin Megami Tensei 5, a little Quake, maybe drop in a few games of Pac-Man, whatever. You don't have to stick to these other games. It's not going to take away from Marvel Rivals the way trying to go into Highguard would, right? And even if a single-player game has a rough start, it's not like you have to buy it right away. You're not going to be left behind if you're not part of the community day one, right? So, you wait. She gets the weird mole on her nose fixed or whatever, and you're ready to have fun. And you can always go back to Marvel Rivals when you're done. You're not going to have the sort of patience you had with a game like Cyberpunk that you would with, say, Concord, because with a multiplayer live service game, you're going to have to get in on the ground floor unless you want to be overtaken by all the sweats. So what's the point? You see, if you're a development house, I need you to think about what you're making. If you're making a live service game, do you really think you have something that's gonna beat the likes of Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, or hell, Street Fighter? Let's just put Street Fighter in there. If you don't think you can win, it's time to circle the wagons and go back. Because at this point, you're just wasting time and you're wasting money. You'd probably be better off making something that requires less commitment. To be vulgar, it's easier in the games industry to be a whore than to be a wife. Anyway, I hope you've had a wonderful time with this little essay. Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, God bless you.